What's going on, YouTube? 12 Time for Life here. Welcome to episode number 10 of NFL Talk. I'm glad you all are here. If you've never watched the show before, what we do is we hop onto the Mudhead forums and we talk about random topics about the NFL that we find on the Mudhead Forum sports discussion page. And if you want your topic featured on a future episode, the best way to do that is either get at me on Twitter. I'm at 12 Time for Life, and there's a link in the description below. Or you can leave a comment in this video below, and I will get to your topic. So we're going to start with the topic that was left in the comment section of the last video, and basically they wanted us to talk about Jay Cutler having success. And there are a couple of reasons I feel that Jay Cutler has had success. Number one, he's had the compliment of both Jeremy Langford and Matt Forte in the backfield. Jeremy Langford and Matt Forte have both played really well this year. We've known for a while that Matt Forte is a really good running back, and his presence and his ability to stay on the field, though he did miss a couple games with injury, Matt Forte obviously helps Jay Cutler a lot. Alshon Jeffrey's had a big year. The tight end Zach Miller has stepped up and played pretty well. So that's one thing. Two is the coaching staff. Adam Gase. Adam Gase was the offensive coordinator in Denver when both Peyton Manning and Tim Tebow were there. If Adam Gase can get Tim Tebow to win a playoff game, then he sure as heck can get Jay Cutler to win some regular season games. I think that Adam Gase, because of what Jay Cutler has done, will indeed end up being a prominent head coaching candidate. And if he's not, then that's kind of stupid, because he's definitely deserved at least consideration for a head coaching job, just because of his body of work with quarterbacks. But moving on from that to our first topic on the Mudhead Forum, you can see it right there, and the topic comes from Patriots Suck 19, and he says, who wins Comeback Player of the Year? His three options are Eric Berry, Carson Palmer, and Navarro Bowman. Eric Berry had lymphoma. Carson Palmer tore his ACL. Navarro Bowman tore his ACL and his MCL. There's one name I would add to that list, and that's Adrian Peterson. While he didn't go through any significant injury or anything to that degree, he missed some time. And when you miss as much time as he did, he missed 15 games. And when you miss 15 games, it's hard to just kind of hop right back in. And it did take him a couple games to kind of get back to normal. But let's be honest, guys. Adrian Peterson, if not the best, is still a top 2 or 3 running back in this league. Still at age, 30 or 31. He's still productive. He still gets it done every Sunday. And he's still a beast. And I can't wait to watch him run in the playoffs. But I say you got to consider Adrian Peterson for this award. Now, of these three, I've told some people this. I know he conquered cancer, which is incredible. And the fact that he not only conquered cancer, but gained a pound during chemo and came right back into the NFL is absolutely incredible. But I just don't see a Pro Bowl for Eric Berry. I'm sorry. I just haven't seen him do much this year. I don't even think he's been playing too much this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't gotten a chance to watch many Chiefs games this year, but the few I've watched, it didn't look like he was on the field very much. So, as much as you'd love to see Eric Berry as the Comeback Player of the Year, I just don't know if he's deserving. He came back from one of the deadliest diseases on the planet, and that obviously I've never had, and I can't speak on the difficulty of coming back from it, and I know it is excruciatingly difficult. But the NFL Comeback Player of the Year, you don't just come back from injury, you play well when you get back. And I'm sure he's played well when he's been on the field, but I just don't know if he's been on the field enough. Call me crazy, call me insensitive, call me whatever. I just don't know. Something about Eric Berry just doesn't seem right about the Pro Bowl and about this award. But because he did make the Pro Bowl, I guess he definitely should be considered. So for me, myself, it's between Adrian Peterson and Eric Berry, but I'm still kind of leaning towards Adrian Peterson. All right, our next topic comes for us from Futhead, and he says, will Julio Jones break a record on Sunday? Julio Jones needs 17 catches to break Marvin Harrison's record of most catches in a year. He also needs 243 yards to break Calvin's record for most receiving yards in a season. Does anyone think he will break it? Personally, I see Kyle Shanahan and Matt Ryan, forcing Julio the ball to get him to break the record. All right, a couple things you got to remember. One, only 7 times in the history of National Football League football has someone caught 17 passes in a game. 7 times. There are 256 games a year, and the NFL merger the NFL-AFL merger was in the early 70s, late 60s, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But in all those years, 256 times about 60 years or more. No, yeah, 256 times 50. We'll just say Super Bowl era. 256 times 50, that's roughly about 13,000 games. I'm doing the math in my head. I know that's a rough estimate. But that's roughly 13,000 games. And only 7 out of 13,000 has someone caught at least 17 passes in a game. So 7 divided by 13,000 is way less than 1% of games that someone... It's probably like 0.4%, 0.3%, something like that. It is a very low percentage of games where someone catches 17 balls in a game. But you say that you think they'll try to force him the ball. Well, I got news for you. You can't just force someone the ball to get them 17 catches in a game, because eventually the defense is going to catch on. It's not that hard if on the first drive, on first, second, and third down, you throw a screen to Julio. Okay, well then they catch on. You're just trying to force feed him. So then they double cover him. And if need be, they triple cover him in the red zone. At the end of the day, he's not going to get 17 catches. He's not going to get 243 yards. He may. It happens. It's happened 7 times. But you gotta weigh the odds. It has happened 7 times, but 7 times out of like 13,000 games. I don't think it will happen. I don't see it happening. If it does happen, I will stand corrected, and everybody can say I told you so, and Futhead can say I told you so. But I don't see it happening. It's not gonna happen. Alright, our next topic comes to us from TD All Day, that's what it is, TD All Day. And he says, you just became the GM of your favorite team for 2016. What are your first moves? And he talks about if he became GM for the Colts. He says he would trade away Dwayne Allen, Robert Mathis, DeQuell Jackson. He says he would keep some guys like Kobe Fleener, Jack Doyle, Griff Whalen, Kendall Langford. He would offer Chuck Pagano D coordinator job. Head coaching offers. He would meet with Jim Irsay and talk to Sean Payton and Brian Kelly. Y'all know I'm a Titans fan, so we're going to go through this scenario for the Titans. If you don't care, feel free to skip past this. But here we go. If I was GM for the Titans of 2016, the first thing I would do would be go out and talk to... See, I talked in one of the last segments about how Adam Gase is like the quarterback whisperer. So I would go interview both Adam Gase and Josh McDaniels, because those are 2 guys that I really like for the position of head coach for the Titans. So that would be the first thing I would do. I would go interview those 2 guys, and based on whichever one I was more impressed with, I would hire them as my head coach very quickly, and then move into preparing for the draft and into free agency. In free agency, I probably wouldn't sign anyone too big. If I did sign someone, I would sign a receiver that I believed in. Before I sign anyone, I would meet with them face to face, because you guys know how free agency works. You sign someone, they come in, they don't fit the system, they suck, they don't give any effort, and it's just a waste of money. So before I do anything, I would most definitely meet with the person that I was considering signing and just kind of pick their brain a little bit. And so maybe a wide receiver. The Titans do need some depth at outside linebacker, so that would definitely be a move, is getting an okay pass rusher. And definitely some DBs. The only thing about DBs is it can be one of the most inconsistent positions in the National Football League. Take a look at 2 of the biggest DB signings of the offseason, Byron Maxwell and Brandon Browner. They've perhaps had the worst seasons, they have had the worst seasons of their careers with their new teams, respectively. So I'm not a huge fan of going out and spending a bunch of money on a DB, so I wouldn't do that. But maybe sign, kind of like the Jaguars did with Devon House. That worked out pretty well. They believed in him. They signed him for a relatively low contract, and they brought him in, and he's played pretty well for him this year. So that's what I would probably do. I would do something similar to that. And then moving into the draft, I'll be completely honest with you, I don't watch much college football, so I really don't know who the prospects are until we get right around draft time. But if I had to consider anything, I would likely trade down, because there are a couple of players, Ohio State's Joey Bosa, You have that there's a quarterback, I forget where he goes, but Matt Miller from Bleacher Report has him ranked as his number 1 prospect. And so I would probably, if I were the Titans, trade down, because we don't need a quarterback. We have Mariota, and we don't need another pass rusher, because we have 3 or 4 really good ones. So I'd probably trade down about the 3rd or 4th pick, maybe even the 2nd pick, if the Browns were looking to move up and get a quarterback, and get some more picks, and then go in, get some DBs, get another wide receiver to help out Marcus Mariota, maybe get a running back in the 2nd round, whether it be an Ezekiel Elliott type of guy or a Derrick Henry type of guy, and but definitely not waste a 1st round pick on one of those guys. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the stuff I would do. It just seems sensical, I guess, to not go out and pay big money for a free agent, but rather spend small money, get to know the guys, get players that you like and that you care about, and at the end of the day, hopefully improve the team. All right, our final topic of the day is going to come to us from New York Jets 3333, and he says the Jets are the best team in the AFC. Todd Bowles, coach of the year. Excuse me. Jets have best defense in the NFL, best cornerback in the NFL, best wide receiver in the NFL. They took down the Patriots today, and you'll be seeing the Jets in the Super Bowl versus the Panthers. Book it. Hold your horses for a minute, okay? Because there are a couple of really talented teams in the AFC. The Broncos, the Bengals, the Patriots. Even though the Jets beat the Patriots, if they play each other in the playoffs, it will be in Foxborough. So hold your horses a little bit. However, the Jets are quite possibly the most complete team in the NFL. They have a great offensive line. You have your veteran DeBrick and Nick Mangold up front. And then you have the veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has played anti-turnover football this year. That's been the key throughout his career. He has a big arm. He's fairly accurate with the football. But the issue has always been the turnovers. The turnovers. He's limited those this year, and that's why they've won football games. And if they beat the Bills tomorrow, they're going to go to the playoffs. And then in the backfield, you've got the monster Chris Ivory. Bilal Powell can catch passes out of the backfield really well. And then you've got a great receiving tandem in Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker. Now you move to the defense. Up front, you've got Sheldon Richardson, Muhammad Wilkerson, the rookie Leonard Williams. You have David Harris, Jarrell Revis, Antonio Cromartie, Calvin Pryor. You have all this talent on a team, and they're collaborating, they're working together, and it's really becoming kind of a beautiful thing up in New York. Are they the best team in the AFC? I'm not going to say that quite yet. However, I feel like they could compete with the Patriots and the Broncos and the Bengals, even if the Bengals are going to get Andy Dalton back at some point, and I still feel like with Andy Dalton, the Jets can compete with the Bengals, and they could also compete with the Broncos. This Jets team is a good football team, and I'm excited to see what they do in the playoffs, considering or assuming that they win tomorrow to get in. But that's it for this episode of NFL Talk. If you enjoyed, please smash that like button below. That would mean a lot. Also, if you haven't already, hit that big red subscribe button too. Again, if you want your topic featured on next week's episode, just leave a comment below or get at me on Twitter. Links for that will be in the description. And I'll see you guys next time. It's been 12 Time for Life saying goodbye. God first, tighten up.